Hey everybody, me Irina Kutsenko and Stars About Stars, we are greeting you, the first astrology-based matchmaking podcast for love and career seekers. And today we have an incredible, absolutely incredible guest, believe me. 3 times Special Soldier of the Year, the youngest, I promise you, veteran on the planet, and actually prove that real men exist in this world, and it's not a question of age. And Sebastian Penaranda, correct?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Did I pronounce your family name correct?
Well, if we're going by the authentic Colombian translation, it would be Peñaranda.
Penaranda.
It's that little roll of the R. It's the little roll of the R, the little exotic twist on it. That makes everything nice.
But now I know the person with whom I could practice my horrible Spanish that I'm learning right now.
It's okay. We'll practice it anytime
Thank you so
want.
much, Sebas. You're a great hero. I know. I heard of you a lot. And I listened to your podcast as well. So tell me, please, are you ready for our life-changing journey based on stars?
I'm absolutely ready for it. Let's do it.
Great. So, and we start to dig. Question number 1. Your life path number is 4 that gives you a promising success for your career. In which area would you love to succeed?
I would love to succeed in my future career, my future ambition of politics. I really want to succeed in that because I'm a firm believer that with that kind of position, you have the ability to truly impact different kinds of individuals from different regions, different cultural backgrounds, and you truly have the ability, more so than anything, to be able to connect individuals in other positions that normally wouldn't be there.
Before to arrive to the United States, I didn't know that politics is so much important. I never bring politics and religion too much in my show, but especially when we started from there, I should ask you, you're from left side, right side, or you're somebody who is very independent?
I'm an individual who typically leans more on the conservative aspect of it, traditionally due to the fact that I'm Colombian. Latinos typically side more towards right aspects of politics. However, I'm not the type of individual to just discriminate someone based on their political views. I'm more so just like to have a conversation on the differences of why we believe what we believe, because everyone has a reason for it, right? Everyone is grown up through different life experiences, and those life experiences cause them to see things through a different lens. So I'd rather just have the conversation with them, see why they see the things, and then maybe we could come to a compromise.
Do you have any special lore that you would love to touch and implement when you're ready for that?
When you mean lore, what do you mean?
I mean, maybe you want to speak about families, about education. What do you like to change in this country?
There's many things I would love to change, but one massive thing I think is missing is a strong family unit in the nation today, right? I think that families are a little bit more separate than they were traditionally, and I think that's really been harming society on multiple different facets of the human endeavor. So I'm a firm believer that having a stronger family and pushing more for that is a great place to start out fundamentally. If we go further on and look at what things could be done more in the immediate side, because obviously family building takes time, I would say definitely attacking it from an economic perspective, because if everyone's wallets are full of money and everyone's happy and everyone can feed their families and everyone can enjoy their work, life becomes a whole lot simpler.
Do you have any hero or prototype?
I would definitely say I'm a very strong fan of Abraham Lincoln because of how he handled a rough situation. And I'm a firm believer that men who could handle pressure and who could handle a lot of adversity are very much needed in today's society because they're often lacking. Most people don't want to take accountability or responsibility for when things are going bad. They only want to do when things are going good, right? So I'm a firm believer that a man, especially a very strong one, should be able to take pressure and be able to handle it, because that's when people need them the most.
You know, the person who did your birth chart reading, I would tell you that you have psychological aspect, very powerful one, and politics definitely, and as well some kind of special power, special strengths, and physically and mentally and emotionally. Tell me please more about your soldier experience. How did it come to the mind of a young gentleman?
So for me, the reason I wanted to become a soldier, I remember being in high school. And I was thinking, I don't want to go through the same exact path that most people go through in the Western world, which is that they graduate from high school, they go to university, they get a career that they typically don't like, they get indebted with a lot of debts, then they grow up, they have kids, they're working a job they don't really love, but just trying to survive. They get divorced most of the time, especially in the West, and then they die. I wanted to do a lot different. I wanted to do something very different. So I decided to go and become a soldier. I wanted to truly find out who I was. And I'm also a firm believer that if you put yourself in uncomfortable situations, that's when you're really going to find out who you are. Because everyone can be comfortable, but not everyone can be uncomfortable. So when you put yourself in those uncomfortable situations, especially on purpose, you truly find out what your weaknesses are. And if you know what your weaknesses are, you could address them and become stronger, find out what those limitations are, break them, and build new ones. So throughout my whole career in the Army, that's exactly what I did. I challenged myself more than I ever could. I tried to learn a lot more things that I had never even known before. I would volunteer for deployments. I would go and try to lead soldiers in a way that they hadn't led before. I would examine what my peers were doing and try to implement different strategies. And I would definitely say that the biggest lesson that I learned throughout my whole Army career is that, one, no one's opinion of you should ever become your reality. And two, literally anything is possible if the mind is in the right place.
That's a great answer. Thank you so much. I admire, especially now when in my motherland war is happening, I admire people who are serving the government, who are defending their motherlands. So thank you so much from my side as a woman. Sebastian, I have another question. If you meet the girl and you decided to make another jump into army and to serve your government again, would you make your girl waiting for you?
Would I make her wait for me?
Yeah, and how would you nail her? That's mine. That's what my father did. That's how I appeared, because my father served for 1.5 years in Germany by that time. You know, we've been from Soviet Union, so you have to leave. And he made me and my mother, being the most beautiful woman in the university, she had to wait.
I mean, I would say that's a pretty effective strategy to ensure that you have to come back.
One-way ticket, yeah?
One-way ticket. For me, I would honestly just sit down and have a conversation with my woman. I just be like, hey, my love, listen, this is the situation. This is what it's looking like. I have to go back. I have to go to war. I love you and I will be back for you, right? And this is how I'm going to do it. I'm going to make sure you know where I'm at. If anything's going to go down, because this isn't the 1950s anymore. We don't just have letters. I have a cell phone, right? Yeah. I have ways of communicating myself with you. So I believe that communicating myself with her would be the best possible way to ensure that I keep that connection alive. And I just talk to her and make sure that she understands what's going on and when I'll be back.
You became an adult quite early.
Yes.
And it's your own choice, probably with a great example. Tell me, are you ready for marriage? Actually, at which age do you think?
I would honestly believe that marriage would be ideal for me at around like 27.
And you're now, just to tell to, I know, but to everybody.
For the audience to understand, I'm 22. So in the next 5 years.
Yeah.
Yes, that would be the ideal time for me.
How do you plan to spend those 5 years?
Those 5 years, I plan spending them investing into myself, investing into building my finances, building my body, building my mind, building my experience and repertoire, because all those things together, I think, form a good man, right? For me, a good man is multiple things, but primarily it's 3. One is an individual who is capable of violence, right? An individual who can protect what is his when need be. It's not to say that they have to be violent all the time, but just the fact that they could be capable of it. Just the fact that they know that no matter who comes their way, whether they're with their mother, their woman, their sister, or anyone else that's important to them in their life, they're ready to handle that situation at whatever cost necessary. The second thing I think is important within a man is that he's financially secure, right? That he has resources and that those resources could be applied in the right necessity at the right exact time. Too many times today, most men don't even think about that kind of stuff. But for me, I'm thinking about my woman now, even though I'm 22 and I'm not planning on getting married for 5 more years and I'm single. I'm thinking about my future wife, my future kids, my future grandkids, and my future descendants. So I know that I need to be able to provide resources for them now. So by the time that they do arrive, it's not a concern that needs to be addressed. And the last thing that I think needs to be worked on for a man is a man who can mentor, a man who could be a leader, a man who could show others that they could follow him and he could provide. He could do what he needs to do. He's not going to crumble under pressure. He's not going to be humiliated. He will be there no matter how difficult it is. And to be able to pass that knowledge on to them as well and not just keep it for himself. So those are the things that I'm going to be addressing throughout that 5-year period.
That's a secret why you're single until now. I don't know. Secret to me, at least. Okay. Your birthday number is 24. That is kindness. It's all about that. And we can hear that because you're very aware about what you're doing every second of your life. What is the main threat in your favorite loving girl that's going to match you fully?
Honestly, the biggest thing I'm looking for in a woman is the fact that she has that motherly instinct, right? That I know for a fact that if I'm with her, right, she will eventually be able to take care of my kids in the right way and raise them in the right way.
Wow.
That's the biggest thing that I'm looking for.
So impressive in this career-oriented, fast country.
100%.
And I love America, believe me.
Yes.
But we know the tempo of life.
I do know the tempo of life. Today, the tempo of life is really just instant gratification. It's just getting what you can in the moment and not really thinking too much of the future. For me, I'm more so that I want to make sure that the woman I'm with, right, I'm thinking long-term with her.
Yeah, of course.
I'm not just going to invest a couple months with her and then disappear. Even though I'm all about getting to know a woman, right? I'm all about getting to know experiences. That's not to say that if I meet a woman and, okay, we're not going to get married, I don't want to still get to know her because I believe you can learn something from every individual you interact with.
Definitely.
But for me, if I'm already set on a woman and the biggest thing I'm looking for with being with that woman and making her my wife is that she would be an amazing mother for my kids, that she would sacrifice herself for my kids, and that my kids and her kids, our kids, would be the main focus of her life, her main priority.
So you know the psychological theory that under 3 years old, it's better for a mother to be maximum dedicated to a kid because it's all about psychological background for the kids who are going to be grown one day and social humans. So my question is, do you want to be a provider in your family? Would you like your woman to be relaxed about finances and never work and maybe have some hobby or whatever?
100%. Like
that's your dream. You don't want her to work tough, go and having schedule and say, you know, Sebas, let's meet 6:30 for aperitif because right now I'm busy. I'm sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't want to hear that.
I don't want to hear that, to be honest.
Oh my
right?
God.
What I want is to be able to.
Such a guy, girl.
I want to be able to take care of my woman 100%, and I want to be able to take care of my kids 100%. I know that in today's world, in today's economy, that's very difficult for a lot of people. But that's why I'm addressing that topic now. That's why I'm thinking about that now when I'm young, before the woman or the kids are even in the picture. That's why I'm addressing that now. So that way, when the time does come, it's not an issue whatsoever. I don't want my woman to know that, hey, I have to go to work because if my man just does everything by himself, we're not going to be able to survive. And I'm also not going to be one of those men that says, hey, my woman's only going to stay in the house, but then everyone at home is starving because he's not producing enough. Either he's not working hard enough, he's not in the right career, he's not doing what he's supposed to do. That's not what I'm about whatsoever. So for that to work, for my plan to work, I need to have everything figured out before even me and my woman come to the table to discuss anything about the future. Because if I'm not ready 100%, then I'm not going to be able to give her what she deserves, which is the best possible man.
And your woman deserves the best. I
exactly.
know already. That's why they say that wisdom comes from East. Tell me more about your background and how many languages you speak. I know a lot.
Yes. So I currently speak 3 languages fluently, and I'm currently learning my 4th. The 3 languages I speak fluently would obviously be English, Spanish, Portuguese, and I'm learning Arabic, specifically the Syrian dialect.
Why Arabic?
Arabic because it's one spoken by 1.8 billion Muslims in the world. Oh,
there is a reason.
Yes, there is a reason.
Statistics.
For me, I believe that language is the best way to connect with an individual.
Okay.
Because with a language, that right there is breaking barriers. It's being introduced into a culture. And that way you can connect with them on a way different level than you can if you're speaking to someone in their 3rd or 4th or even 2nd language that they've learned, because it's not their native one. So I want to be able to connect with people on a completely different level.
Do you have any preference in nationality of your woman?
Not necessarily.
Maybe she's going to be Muslim because you're learning Arabic.
I do have a preference in religion, though. That's what I was going to say.
Yes. Would it be better to pose it like that?
Yes. So I have a preference in religion. I would like her to be Christian, 100%, because that's what I am myself.
You're religious?
I am 100% religious.
I'm Christian too. I understand you.
Oh, perfect. So you understand exactly how it is.
Yes.
For me, it's essential that me and my wife could raise our kids in the same exact faith. I know that interfaith marriages are very possible, but for me, it's just easier. It's very simple to not try to have to argue about religion with my spouse or with my woman. So that is my only really big preference when it comes to aspects of her being from different areas. Nationality wise, to me, it doesn't really matter because every culture has a beautiful thing about it. So I'm very down to go and immerse myself into a different culture, have kids who would be pretty exotic because they're going to have a Colombian father. So that's going to bring a lot of different things into that.
Sun in Gemini gives you multi-talented personality. Tell me, please, which gift exactly would you like your kids take from you?
I would love for them to have the ability to stay curious about the world and want to learn more about the world and always know that it's not over when it comes to learning. You could keep learning to the last day of your life. And it doesn't even have to be about something that interests you. It's just about having the knowledge reserved into your head somewhere because you never know what day you could use it. So that would be definitely the biggest thing I'd want them to have.
Your Venus shows me that you love when your woman looks good. Tell me, what is the best element for you, most attractive in the dress code of your lady?
For me, the most pleasing thing aesthetically about my partner is that she takes care of her body. So she likes to work out 100%. And also that she has nice taste in fashion, right? She has an amazing taste in fashion when she knows what looks good. She knows how to dress herself up. She knows how to do her makeup properly. But at the same time, the makeup isn't what's going to cause me to fall for her, right? The makeup is just a tool to illustrate her beauty more. But I love it when she doesn't really have to wear makeup around me because that's her natural beauty. And that's what I really enjoy most. But yeah, aesthetically, a woman who takes care of herself in the gym and a woman who knows her fashion very well.
Sebastian, you have such an aspect moon that is all about unconscious world and emotions in square with Saturn, that is planet of restrictions. That gives you an opportunity to be very focused, very disciplined, but from the other side, prevents you from showing emotions sometimes. Maybe in your work, it's very good. Tell me about personal thing. When you see a woman, do you demonstrate your feeling directly or you hold it for you for a while?
So when I was younger, 100% I would restrict it, right? When I was younger, I had a very difficult time in being vulnerable, right? Being vulnerable because I was taught to do the opposite. I was taught to not show the vulnerability because therefore I would show the weakness. Nowadays in my life, in my dating life, I like to show the vulnerability a lot more because I believe it allows me to connect with her on a different level, a lot simpler, a lot stronger, because she's seeing that I'm not afraid to show her who I truly am, even if that opens me up for judgment. And I want her to know that's the same exact way with me, right? She could be vulnerable. She can open herself up. She can open her heart. And I'm going to do the same exact thing with her.
You definitely know how to talk as a politician, as a man, as a person with whom I can handle beautiful conversation, as a guest, etc. But tell me about your podcast that personifies your talkative skills and your communication talent. Tell me how Sebas' perspective appeared on this planet.
So the Sebas perspective was actually an idea that I had when I was deployed in the Middle East. I remember sitting down in my little room, in my little bed, and I was thinking, you know what? Maybe I should share some of the ideas that I have with the world. A friend of mine had told me to do it. So I said, you know what? Let's do it. Let's execute on it. Let's make it happen. The Sebas perspective is all about having the difficult conversations that no one else wants to have in today's society. It's about having the conversations that should be had at every aspect, at every level that we experience human interaction today, but just aren't had. So if people want to come and they want to hear a very unfiltered perspective on what's going on and even bringing in different perspectives that don't even necessarily have to agree with mine, then they should come, listen, and hear if they like it and hear if this is something that's definitely for them.
What do you think, as an author of that brilliant podcast, what do prevent people from start that difficult conversation?
I think what really stops them is social stigma. Right? People don't want to be judged. Right? People don't want to be labeled a certain term or a certain demographic and being told, oh, you are this because you hold this kind of idea. That's not how we progress as a society. We progress as a society by encouraging critical thinking, by encouraging free ideas, and by being able to have a discussion about different ideas, coming together and finding a way forward. Because if we're just constantly having a conversation and one person gets offended, one person gets insulted, and then there's no more conversation, nothing ever happens. We don't go anywhere. We stay in the same exact place. So I think what really stops most people is the fact that they aren't willing to just open themselves up for judgment.
Thank you so much. Your Venus is in Taurus. That gives you an understanding that you're a very faithful guy to whatever you choose and whomever you choose. And you are quite spiritual but materialistic. Tell me, please, about your experience with stock market. I know you're a talent here as well.
So my experience with stock market is very simple. I like to get very involved into the futures market. When I was 19, I started really investing heavily into the crypto market.
18.
Yeah, 19.
Just like that.
19.
Okay, excuse me.
I'm so sorry. My bad. I don't speak clearly enough. But yeah, so I started trading into the crypto market when I was about 19. Because I had always kind of heard about it, but then I said, I had to really try to like use my money in the right direction. A lot of my other friends would just use their money to go to the club, or they would use their money to go and buy liquor or something like that. I wanted to use my money to actually make me more money. So good. I got involved into the crypto markets. I got involved into Bitcoin, Ethereum, Chainlink, etc. A bunch of different cryptocurrencies when they were still cheap. I remember I bought my first Ethereum coin when it was $200.
Cool.
So I started really using that at the peak of my crypto, which was around like November. Like with everything that I had over 6 figures already invested into by the time I was 20. So it was very good. It was very good. Nowadays, I just focus a lot more on the futures market. And for people who don't know what the futures market is essentially a different kind of stock market that it operates within the stock market that trades actions like stocks of a company and currencies on a futuristic timeline. So 23 hours out of the day, 6 days a week, you can go trade and do what you have to do.
And do you have, besides that, some career that you do every day?
Yes.
Any kind of job?
So I started a tax business recently, actually, into taxes, whether it be a personal tax,
from the side of accountant or lawyer? From
the side of like accounting, yes.
Okay.
The side of accounting. Because after I got out the army, I worked with an accountant for close to about a year. And he taught me everything that he knew about the market, about how to do accounting, everything that I needed to know. And he said, hey, you're pretty good at this, Sebas. Why don't you just try to do it by yourself? I said, you know what? Let's do it. Why not? Worst thing that can happen, it doesn't work out, and I still do what I have to do, right?
So when I'm going to be a billionaire with my podcast and I need to cut legally my expenses and taxes, I can address you.
You can address me 100%.
Thank you so much, Sebastian. Talking about your ambitions and dream and goals that you have in careers, in finances, about families, tell me, please, do you consider ambitions to be a killer or driving force?
I think ambitions for a man are absolutely necessary.
In general, yeah, you can answer the way you want.
Yes. In general, I would say it really depends on the individual and how they use ambition, because some people use ambition as a way to get away from their life, as a way to get away from the people that care about them, as a way to get away from their family, as a way to just get away from something. I think when it comes to that, that's the wrong answer every single time, right? You should use ambition to take you to where you want to be, but also simultaneously address everything else in your life. Not just the money, not just the material, not just what could give you the gratification now, but also what could give you the gratification going forward. But for a man, I would definitely say it's definitely necessary to be ambitious, because if you have no ambition, then where are you going with your life? What are you going to do? Are you just going to stay with your mother until you're 30? No, that's not the right answer.
That's good. Somebody would say 40 or 50 exists too, by the way.
Yeah, it does. And it does exist. But I think that ambition is what you have to have if you want to truly go somewhere.
Thank you so much. And coming back to love, I put you the most common, my regular signature question. What is love?
Love for me is everything that has to do with sacrifice, right? If you are willing to sacrifice yourself for somebody, someone is willing to sacrifice themselves for you, then there truly is love in there. Because if you're not willing to sacrifice anything, if you're not really truly willing to say, I am willing to die for this person, then you really don't really love them in the first place.
Now the time to tell where girls who are listening to you can find you, because it's impossible. I think they gotta, I don't know, ruin my phone and everything and my social media, all Instagram, trying to get in touch with you. Let me know how we can find you, Sebastian.
You can find me on the apps of Spotify, Apple Podcast at the Sebas Perspective. That is the handle for the podcast. You could also find it on Instagram and on TikTok at the Sebas Perspective.
Thank you so much. Do you have any desire to pass the torch to some of your friends or colleagues who are going to be a next guest in Stars About Stars?
Absolutely. I would like to recommend my friend Anthony Mattello, an Italian guy, golfer.
Cool.
So whenever he likes to come on, I would definitely recommend him to come and talk to you.
Thank you. I appreciate that honesty and our great conversation from heart to heart. Thank you so much.
No, thank you.
And thank you for another beautiful guest. That was great. And we thank everybody for the attention. Please get in touch with us, Stars About Stars. Our website, official only, and our social links, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, of course. And me, Irina, always with love and with you.